Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Happy Friday to you. Thanks for being with us right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Happy NHL Draft Day. This is our second one, JJ. We're officially veterans of the process.
Experts.
Well, hold the phone, all right? I don't know who's an expert on any draft situation. The NHL's a very difficult one to wrap your brain around.
It's a crapshoot today. Based on everything I'm reading, it's like good luck guessing
there's a lot of names
who's going to be taken in the top 10.
Just in terms of differences that you have with the NBA draft, you had a consensus what 1 and 2 is going to look like this year. There are years that you don't necessarily know exactly who the number one guy is going to be, but that's pretty rare. Sometimes you know even the order 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it gets shaken up a little bit, but it's not that it's chalk. But also the other thing that happens, JJ, is the expectation for the guys who are picked in the lottery in the NBA is you better get your butts here. More on that later. You better get your butts to whatever city you're supposed to be getting in, because there was supposed to be a press conference at my house last night at midnight. Don't you remember? You missed the invitation. No, but they're expected to come in and make an impact immediately. And whether or not that means that they're going to take the team to the playoffs the first year, that's not what we're talking about. What they're asking is that they're logging minutes on a floor in Summer League, then in the preseason, then into the regular season. Ace Bailey will be getting minutes on the floor immediately with the Utah Jazz. You might even see the same thing happen with Walter Clayton Jr., depending on how his summer and camps go. I mean, it's just the reality
Why
is
can't he be the starting point guard for the Jazz?
They are asking way different expectations of guys who are drafted in the first round of the NBA draft versus what you're going to get in the NHL tonight. So these are things that we're reminding people of, like, we are going to see guys drafted tonight, and especially tonight of what is being considered one of the lighter drafts, which, again, you don't know what that's going to mean until...
No generational talent in this draft.
We've had for the last couple of years your Macklin Celebrinis, who was it? Connor Bedard, who was with Chicago the year before that. The automatic, like, this is a generational person, and they will play year one for the club. But that is very rare. Even the number 6 overall pick that the hockey club got last year in T.J. Ginla, he ended up being awesome. See you in the developmental stages, and we'll get to you in a few years down the line.
After your hip surgery.
Right, and then the injury and all the other stuff that goes on.
We don't know. He's going to be here this summer, but we have no idea if he's going to be the club this year.
But they're not.
And that's okay.
But
There's
the
no
process
rush.
is they're not worried about it because it's all about development.
Right.
It's not as weird and long of a process as the minor leagues in baseball, but it's closer to that than it is with an NBA or NFL draft. Make sense? That's where we're at. We're going to be giving you as much NHL draft coverage as we can give you, but we're also very, very, very annoyed by the way that everybody is talking about us. And I'm not just saying Utah Jazz. That's what I'm not saying. I'm saying about the state of Utah continues to take image L's across. The branding L's continue to hit us. Strays that we did not ask for keep coming our way, courtesy of massive media outlets who have decided to make a story out of Ace Bailey not showing up for that special press conference.
That never existed.
They had a hot sandwich for him. It was sitting there on the table. They had his name on a drink, and it sat there. Nobody came to the door. That's not what happened. You're being absolutely lied to about whatever was supposed to be the process. I was so disappointed to see Jay Billis from ESPN be the guy who was involved in that conversation of, it's very strange, we don't ever see this, and if somebody's not going to report, it's a very difficult process for these teams. If somebody doesn't want to be in Utah, that's a shame because they don't really know about it. But, he didn't go to his opening press conference, and we're going, by the way, he was on with the local radio station that night he was drafted. He was on a Zoom call that night with the rest of media.
He didn't duck anything on draft night.
I don't know where in this process
he was on this station in Salt Lake City.
Folks got confused.
On Wednesday night.
Folks got confused with the report yesterday that said he didn't want to go to Philadelphia to the point that they were maybe even willing to say he wasn't going to report, right? That was a story we read yesterday, but it just said a team in the top 5. But we knew that it was reflecting onto that Philadelphia side, which is where a lot of those teams thought that he did not want to go. The Jazz were looked at as a team that weren't necessarily interested in taking him, but I don't think he took that conversation and thought to himself, but if they do, I'm not going. There's no version of that happening here. And so I just want people to calm down a little bit. Maybe I'm telling myself to calm down a little. I'm getting frothy of the mouth here, JJ. I'm mad about it.
Good.
Because I just get pissed about the continual defending of what we've got going on here in the state of Utah. Like, is it not enough that you have Danny Ainge, Austin Ainge, Justin Zanuck, a franchise that has never really had a foot stepped in the wrong direction when it comes to absolutely doing everything that the league wants or desires for a franchise to do. David Stern always said it. I wish people acted more like what the Millers acted like there in Utah. When Ryan Smith took over, all he's doing is being a steward over the thing that was built here already, and he's not going to screw it up. In fact, he's only made it better since. So when you get these stupid steps backward from dumb outlets, other places in the country that make these assumptions as to how this thing went down, you said it earlier in our pre-show meeting. You said, I bet Ryan Smith is furious. I hope he hasn't thought more than 1 second about it, but he's a competitive dude, and you're probably exactly right. Our show brought to you by G2G Bars, and me being absolutely pissed. Maybe I'm hangry. You know what?
Get a Snickers in here. Or
no, the G2G Bar,
there you
man.
Go.
The Snickers, I'll hit the sugar crash, dog.
Have you heard it has all natural ingredients?
It does. It'll help you out. So give it a shot. We want to make sure that you try the G2G Bar, all in the refrigerated section at your local grocers. Let's kick off the program officially, and I'm going to keep yelling about this. And we'll jump in right here, and we'll talk about what this looks like. So it's the cut, top of the hour. Let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program, TRAJANwealth.com. That's Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. Trajan Wealth. All right, JJ, what are we supposed to think about what happened in the second round last night?
Are we going to break that down?
I want to look at it at least a little bit.
John Tonje can shoot. I don't know of his chances of making the roster, but the dude can shoot. He's 26, though.
Hey, they already took a 25-year-old right before this, right? Or no. How old's Walter Clayton Jr.?
Not quite that old.
23. I'm sorry, I was thinking of...
Walter Clayton Jr., I believe, is 22.
Well, I was thinking of...
he's 22 years old.
The super old guy... Oh, Tyler Shuck.
John Tonje is 24. I was embellishing. He's not 26.
Okay, so but Tonje, you'll recall, was the guy who absolutely, almost single-handedly took BYU out of the NCAA tournament. BYU had to go through his 38 points or 36-point performance against Wisconsin. And if you remember, John Tonje took over that freaking game by himself.
Who was in the crowd in that game?
Donnie Ainge.
And?
Was Austin Ainge there?
Ryan Smith was there.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
John Tonje picked a really good time to get hot in that NCAA tournament. I know he walked away from that game really sad, but that game made him some money.
That's the best scouting you can do, by the way.
100%.
They're like, hey, I'm going to hang out at the Final Four. Hey, pick Walter Clayton Jr. He's pretty awesome. Yeah, he is. He just won the national championship. Yeah, he was a single-handed, it was his team, man. He carried the Gators to a national championship. Tonje by himself almost beat BYU, just on his own, for that 3-seeded Wisconsin team. So, again, the role of the second round, it was funny last night because the Nuggets tweeted out during the 41st pick. I think they do this every year at this point.
They do.
What do they say? Oh, a quesarito would be really nice right now.
Yeah.
Just slap right now. and then I'm always like, gosh dang it. Just trolling everybody that, hey, we got the best number 41 pick in the history of the second round. But the reality is, JJ, you brought it up. Maybe we never even see this guy in a Jazz official uniform. Maybe the furthest he gets is with a Summer League jersey. But
there's no guarantees, and that was the worst second round in a long, long time because a lot of the guys
stayed in college.
Guys that were in the draft, like Tonje, they had no more eligibility remaining. They had to go to the draft, and I think considering that, The fact that the second round wasn't great, getting John Tonje is a good pick for the Utah Jazz.
So,
it's a guy that could play in the G League for them next year here with the Stars, and then you'll see. I don't know. He can shoot. Dude can shoot. He can light it up. And all three of the guys the Jazz took in this draft can shoot. So if you're looking for a theme or something to come away with what the Jazz were looking for in this draft, it was shooters, and they got them.
So not only, I mean, obviously, Con Knippel is kind of looked at as the consensus like best sharpshooter in the whole
Catch
draft.
and shoot, not like overall shooting. Like
No.
The dude doesn't create his own shot.
No, it's that corner three percentage. Is way up.
Exactly.
Yeah. What we're talking about here is, and I think that most experts, the way they look at it is the contested shot percentage.
Tough shots.
Ace Bailey and then Walter Clayton Jr. are the two best pressure shooting point creators and shot makers in those moments. Both of them have huge clutch numbers as well. And then obviously John Tonje, same kind of a vibe.
Yep.
Now, again, when you say that this was the lightest round two we've seen in a long time, then it makes sense that for the Jazz to also move that draft pick, move off of that 43rd pick, I think it was what it was, or 42nd pick, or whatever it was going to be, and to give up the 21st to make sure that they got Walter Clayton Jr.
Terrific move.
And so then you look in the second round, and again, the wisdom on this is you have options, right? And you get John Tonje into your camp. You get him maybe playing for the Stars for a while. Maybe, I mean, it used to be you just sent guys straight off to Europe, right, to develop, to kind of see what's going on. And you had their draft rights. You had their number. And
that's an option, too.
Sometimes the Nigel Williams Gosses of the world never get called back, right? And that happens.
And that's okay.
And they were phenomenal in college. They get picked in the second round. The NBA is not for them. The NBA is not for 99.999% of college basketball players. There's a reason why it's a two-round process.
Once they learn that, they go to Europe and find out I can make a lot of money overseas.
So overall, now that we have the Jazz draft in our back pocket, and we're about to look at and again, I'm not worried about what's going to happen because it has been announced that there is going to be a press conference that Ace Bailey is going to be out on Sunday, right?
Yes.
I saw the billboards coming in welcoming Walter Clayton Jr.
And John Tonje.
I'm sure
there's one for Ace Bailey. I just didn't see it.
I guarantee it's going to be there. The whole thing is like, I do remember, JJ, they get him here quickly. But I never in my head had the idea, they get here the next day, and it's really weird if they don't. And so this whole thing pisses me off because, again, it's a hit on a franchise that doesn't need a hit, right? A franchise that does it all right. And unfortunately for Ace Bailey, he hired the wrong people. I don't know what the family connection with Omar Cooper is.
AAU coach.
I don't know if that translates into you being suddenly a good agent for a kid.
He's not even certified by the league.
Never been in this process before, and he thought he knew how he was going to do it, and he played it terribly. And the missteps that he has had has created a real headache for the future employer of his player. And it will likely, if the family is smart about it, it will move. And I hope that the Jazz get into his ear and say, hey, listen, I know you have a connection to this guy. I know you love him. But the NBA has experts that do this, and they certify them, and they look after you, and they make sure. Do you have agents who get way aggressive out of their shoes all the time? Absolutely, at every level. But you know what you don't have are guys who end up making the talent look worse, and that's a bad sign for Ace Bailey. And he couldn't get into a gym and dribble a basketball faster so that everybody could forget this time frame, which has been an absolute disaster for him personally as a PR move. And I hope people are looking at Omar Cooper, but no one cares about Omar Cooper. All they're thinking about is Ace Bailey. And
that's the problem.
It reflects poorly on an 18-year-old.
That's the problem here. This is why this pisses me off too. It's because this kid just wants to hoop. He's a good kid by all accounts. And now he's being talked about negatively across the country on social media, even by an NBA broadcast partner in ESPN. Like, how do the Jazz feel about their broadcast partner stirring the pot with this? And that's exactly what they did all week long with this. Ever since the draft, they built the narrative. And guess what? Utah got sucked into it again. Utah hating. You don't want to go play in Utah. Has Ace said one word about whether he wanted to play here or not? His agent hasn't even singled out the Utah Jazz because they haven't even talked to the media.
So what does he do? He throws out
ESPN ran with this narrative, and now it's
really dumb.
It's out of the genie bottle.
And so then you have Omar Cooper who desperately tries to put a handle on this thing. And
He hasn't tried to do anything.
Well, though, what did he do? He had like an Instagram post or was a tweet?
3 days later?
Let's go, Jazz.
Come on, man.
Hey, at Jazz. Hey, at Danny Ainge. Let's go. And a picture of his client. Hashtag ready to play ball. Hashtag I love Utah. Wink. Like, I don't care. This whole process has been a disaster for him personally. And the people who end up taking flack over it is Utah.
Ace is the victim in the great state of Utah.
All right, we got to make it up to him. I don't know how to do it, but
You know what? You know how? Come here, figure it out, play ball. Everyone here is going to love Ace. He's a great kid, and it's going to take him some time, but he's going to be a great player. And we'll all laugh at this 2 or 3 years down the road.
Will we, or we're going to have to still?
My
did we
hope
just set
is,
back people's thoughts on Utah again another couple of years?
Well, that's never going to go away. This stupid narrative, and give Ryan Smith credit. He's fighting it like crazy, and he's done a lot to dispel that. But it just is. It's just we're going to take pot shots from the world forever because I don't know. Why not? Because it's easy. But people who live here know. Even talk to former players that were here. They never want those that left regret leaving. This is a great place to live. It's a great place to work. Okay, we know that. So screw everybody else. Ace Bailey's going to figure out this is a great place to live and a great place to work. And he's going to be able to come here and just focus on ball, which is all he wants to do. He's going to have an outstanding head coach. He's going to be playing for an outstanding organization who has a great owner, great facilities, great place to live. And he's going to have $10 million to go do whatever he wants if he doesn't want to be here. Right?
All right.
What's the problem here?
Here's the problem, is that you have people on ESPN, and I love Jay Billis. I don't know why it went in such a weird, dark direction with all of this, but here's what it sounded like. Jonathan Givony and Jay Billis last night talking about this moment and acting like that there was some big thing that was happening when there actually wasn't. Here's what it sounded like. This is the thing that everybody was up in arms about.
As many of our viewers might be aware, Ace Bailey did not conduct a single known visit or workout with an NBA team. He was clearly determined to steer himself to a team outside the top 5. Many around the NBA believe that to be the Washington Wizards. I was told that his agent, Omar Cooper, told at least one team in the top 5 before the draft that his client will not report if they decide to draft him. Now, the Utah Jazz selected him regardless of all this. And now the big question is, are we going to see him in Utah anytime soon? I asked Omar Cooper his thoughts on his client's future in Utah, and he declined to answer those questions. He told me there's nothing uncommon about Ace Bailey's pre-draft process. 18 teams interviewed him. They all saw him work out at the NBA Draft Combine. They all have his medicals, his measurements. He's not the first player to decline or cancel workouts, which is absolutely true. Now, a press conference is scheduled in the near future for Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton. We're all going to see what comes of that if we get any more answers from Ace Bailey about what happened the past few months.
I really appreciate that insight there, Jonathan. Thank you. Jay, you watched Ace play all through college. You called him one of the most talented players in this draft. What do you make of all of this?
It's odd not showing up right after you're drafted. Usually there's a press conference the next day. Everybody flies in that was drafted. So it's unusual. But if he wants to make an issue of this, he's going to have to sit out. And I'm not sure that's the right thing for a young player to do. But, he's got the choice to do it. He's not really a member of the union yet, but he's protected by the union.
Right.
Come on. You guys know better than this.
There was never any intention to sit out. There was no ducking of a press conference. None of that happened.
I guess it's just a sexy, thing to comment on. These kids these days, and they have the ability. They have the choice.
All this escalated from him not doing workouts?
I know, and then he's like, his rep never told me anything about what the Utah situation is. But then he started to go on and say, look, people decline workouts and interviews all the time. Now, a lot of times, think about it. We do this in the NFL a lot. Guys will miss especially like your Cam Wards and your Shedeur Sanderses will go, I can only hurt my stock going to the combine at this point, okay? I don't think I'm going to get any higher of in Shedeur Sanders' case, ended up being the weirdest draft weekend ever for a guy that we thought was going to be a top 10 dude. But that being said, Shedeur Sanders got drafted by Cleveland, okay? At any point, do you think that it was like, man, I'm not reporting, man?
No, he was at minicamp.
He was there. He literally hit the pedal to the metal to get there to camp and got a big old speeding ticket for it. And in the end, all these guys want to do is get on the floor. Ace Bailey, the best thing he could ever do for his future as a basketball player, even if it is to not be in Utah, is to be the best player in Utah he could ever be. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be able to if you want to be able to have an NBA career that matters, you've got to be there at the front end of it, acting like an adult. We've had 18-year-olds act like 18-year-olds before. Great. The problem with this is the people who are the most immature in this whole process so far are the freaking adults that are supposed to be protecting him around him. And so that's part of the deal. I know we have some sound from one of his reps. Is this the Andrew Whitlieb one? I don't know.
This is the agent who actually is certified that's going to be handling his contract.
Right, and he's talking about the actual people that are representing him.
Omar can't even negotiate his contract. He's not a certified agent.
Not allowed. So here's what Andrew Whitlieb said.
And he's thrilled to be going to Utah. Obviously, it's an honor to be selected in the top 5 of the NBA draft. And, we think he can do a lot of great things out there. He certainly should get a ton of playing time, and he'll have a lot of chances to show what he can do. So we think it's a great situation for him basketball-wise.
What was sort of some of that thought process going into the draft process?
Yeah, I mean, we focused, again, this was led by his longtime manager, Omar Cooper, who we're partnering with on this. And Omar really, focused more on fit rather than going third in the draft kind of thing. He wanted some place where Ace could have the best possible basketball fit for his game. And we think Utah is one of the best places he could have gone.
Well, Andrew, I'm curious, what went into the process of Ace not working out with teams? I mean, obviously he was selected by Utah that he didn't have a workout with, but what went into the process of that? Because I felt like that was the biggest talking point as a result going into last night.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that was a story that was blown out of proportion. So many teams pick players that don't work out for them, frankly.
So you get the adult in the room who actually says all the things in that interview.
The professional agent.
That you were supposed to say the entire freaking time. Hey, he is excited. There is no indication he is absolutely going to report to Utah. He can't wait. He can't wait to just start playing basketball and start getting into it, man. We are so excited for it. That's the guy who should have been the one making the first comments. Instead, you had amateur hour with the guy who literally is an amateur and is not allowed to negotiate a contract. And then you heard, too, that they're like, hey, but make sure you take care of my guy, Omar Cooper. And so Andrew Whitlieb has to go, whom we're partnering with, and has to just take it. You know what I mean? Like, can't wait. Yeah, no, a lot of that's been worked through with a guy who is his longtime manager, starts gritting his teeth and going, who we've partnered with on this, because he's not excited about it, but Ace Bailey's trying to throw him a bone. Everybody has had this guy, right? LeBron had, like, his guy who was, like, his coach growing up, who he basically made, like, part of, like, the Nike. He had Nike employ him. Do you remember this whole thing? Like, everybody's got, like, hey, I want you to take care of him. He helped me and my family on the way up, right? I'm going to take care of you, dude. And unfortunately, they gave Omar Cooper too much leash and a microphone. So there you go. What is the actual report here? The Jazz have reported that he's going to report on Saturday with the team. Sunday is when that press conference is planning. They're planning on having it. What else do you need to know about it? And now
he'll be in practice on Monday. The
Bailey camp is in damage control because of the dumb adults that ruined this kid's reputation, at least for the front end part. So
that's the shame. Ace deserved better than this because the kid is a great player and a great person. Now, you know what? I hope a week from now, he's going to be playing up at the Huntsman Center in the Utah Jazz Summer League, and you're going to have 10,000 Jazz fans show up there and cheer the heck out.
You're going to have a bunch of kids who are there yelling and asking for autographs.
And go up there and support this kid and show him that you don't care about any of this BS. Like, you just want to go see this kid succeed and have fun.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, Mike Folta, our guy. Mike Folta's back in the house, man. We're going to have a conversation with Mike. He's the play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth. He's going to come in and give us some thoughts about this draft process. Maybe you've been looking over the mock drafts like we have. It is a friggin' crapshoot this year. But what you do know, the Utah Mammoth are in that 4th position as to whom they're going to pick, it's up in the air right now. There are lots of different schools of thought, who they need, how the trade affected that conversation as well. Mike Folta is going to jump on with us here, and we'll talk about what that looks like going forward. We've got tons of NHL coverage here for you. Jay Stevens is going to show up. Trevor Lewis with the Los Angeles Kings, of course, local name here that everybody knows from a hockey standpoint. He's going to join us on the program as well. We're going to talk about what his early draft process was like, and that's a guy who's had a long, illustrious career. And we'll talk about how that all started on his draft day. So many more things to go right around the corner. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. I'm not yelling about basketball this segment, okay? I made a commitment to our producer, Alex. Made a commitment to JJ. I'm not going to yell about basketball and Ace Bailey in that whole situation. I got it all out. You know why? Because it's a special day for us. We get to get Mike Folta back on the program here with us. He's the Utah Mammoth Radio play-by-play voice. By the way, every Wednesday, the KSL Sports Zone gives away tickets. That's why we call it Win Ticket Wednesday. We've got tickets to see Adam Sandler, You're My Best Friend tour going on October 26th at Delta Center. That's right. Come see the Sandman. Tickets go on sale Friday, June 27th at noon, or you can win them on Wednesday all day long, all across all the shows. So join us then. You can win tickets to see Adam Sandler in concert. Join us on the program right now, the radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, and a friend of the show who we gave a little bit of a break, but there's no such luck the rest of the way. You're going to have to join us more and more often the rest of 2025. Mike Folta, welcome back, buddy.
Guys, thanks for having me. And JJ, first of all, really good news. Was just talking to some of to Bill Armstrong and some of the Mammoth execs, and they said that you should stay by your phone here this evening. You might be getting a ring in that 4 spot. Alex, I heard that they liked your abilities. I mean, we all know you've got hands like silk and skate like the wind, but I think the character is what dropped you
that's the thing
further down their draft board.
That's what GMs.
There was a lot of red flags that came up.
Lots of GMs were worried about the rap sheet. That's fine. That's fine. I don't need to go to Utah then. Take me to New Jersey, man. I'll fit in with the Devils. Mike, it's good to hear your voice again. It's also good for us to be able to chat some hockey. And I think that, I don't know, it shouldn't be a shock at this point that that Bill Armstrong and that front office are aggressive in trying to make this team not just better, but great going forward and making themselves the possible, Stanley Cup playoff team that they've been dreaming of putting together. They've been doing so much work for over the past few years to do. Tell us your thoughts first on the Josh Stone and Michael Kesselring for J.J. Peterka.
Yeah, I think one thing that's important to keep in mind is that the success, the contending horizon for this Utah team is still a couple of years down the road when you're talking about competing for a championship. Now, with that being said, the goal this upcoming season is to take that jump and make the playoffs, which the team did not do this year. So even with trading away a couple of young guys like Josh Stone and Michael Kesselring, who had great moments here in Utah and were great character guys, trading those young guys away, you're bringing in a more established, higher-end player. But this J.J. Peterka guy, he's only 23 years old, and he has his best hockey ahead of him still. I think that's what's the most exciting part about this trade is that, yes, you're giving up some youth, but you're also getting back youth. And so is Utah turning into a more of a win-now team with trades like this? Yes. But you also have to keep in mind that the success horizon is still in place for this team to be peaking within the next couple of years. But Peterka was scoring 27 and 28 goals on a Buffalo Sabres team that was near the bottom of the league. Yes, he was playing with really good players on that Buffalo team, but not an incredibly strong squad overall. And he's going to come to Utah and be an immediate impact player in the top 6. He's got great hockey IQ. He's elite offensively, has a really good shot, and scores a ton off the rush. And he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You wore 77 in Buffalo, and if you wear 77 here in Utah, I think that jersey could go platinum.
So with the addition of J.J. Peterka, what does that mean for the rest of the offseason and what they might be wanting to do? Does that mean that they feel like they got that guy that they needed and they're going to, I don't know, not maybe go out and be more aggressive, or do you think they still got some other things on the table?
Oh, I think there's work to be done still. And from everything we've heard from Bill Armstrong the last couple of weeks, he's been saying that with this number 4 pick, this team is going to take a swing, whether that's actually drafting a player in that spot, whether that's moving the pick to bring in additional assets. But Utah's in a great spot because there's already a really strong pipeline in place with players who will be impactful within the next couple of years. So you don't necessarily have to bring somebody in at that 4th overall pick like some other teams drafting near the top of the board, like a Nashville Predators team that doesn't have as strong of a pipeline. They're right behind Utah at 5. Utah has a lot more flexibility than some of those groups. And I think there's still definitely work to be done. It could be the 4th overall pick. It could be other assets. I think Utah and other people have echoed this as well. Bill has echoed this. They want to get bigger and meaner up front. We saw that in the Stanley Cup playoffs with guys like Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart for the Florida Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk. Those guys are hard to play against. They're big, they're mean, and they're mobile, and you need those guys not just to get to the playoffs, but to win in the playoffs as well. So adding some mobile size up front and down the middle of the ice as well is a priority.
As you look at the possibilities there, I see Caleb Denoyer's name comes up quite a bit in a lot of these mock drafts. But what's like and you're drafting for talent, right? I mean, we're trying to still wrap our brains around what the NHL draft is versus some of these other professional drafts that we cover. And because it is different, like in nature, finding a right fit really is a long-term fit. You know, in other drafts, you're going, we need a freaking backup quarterback, or we need a quarterback right now, and so they draft that guy. But when you're drafting 4th, the premium is on talent. What is the talent level of a centerman like Caleb Denoyer?
Well, okay, Alex, it's French. Denoyer. We're going to go with that here.
I tried to get all the S's out of there, but if you want me to really step it up, I want to do it. Well, I've
never heard him say it. Maybe it's Denoyers or something. I don't know. But we think it's Denoyer.
No, you are correct. It's Denoyer.
Do you have to go Denoyer? Like to really go full French on it?
We need to ask Bear how to properly pronounce it, right?
Well, exactly. He'll be right down the middle with the English pronunciations. But he's a really interesting prospect, Caleb Denoyer. He was playing juniors this last year. He's kind of deemed as one of the safer picks in that prospect range because he doesn't have as much of an offensive upside, you could say, as some of the other guys going in that range. But he's got a higher floor. The guy that people have been comparing him to is like a Jonathan Taves, who was a multi-Stanley Cup champion with the Chicago Blackhawks, Patrice Bergeron, who was a legend with the Boston Bruins. Now, if he turns into one of those players, you're laughing all the way to the bank. I think that would be a great projection for him and extremely aggressive. But that's kind of what people think that he could be, is one of those not as high of a ceiling, but a really high floor type guy, because he's really good on both ends of the ice, really good defensively, good in his battles. He's 6'2". He can still fill out a little bit. He did play with Team Canada with T.J. Ginla and Cole Baudouin, who are a couple of other Utah draft picks from last year. So he's got some connections to guys already in the organization, but whoever takes him is going to be happy because he seems like a character kid who is valuable, not just offensively, but defensively as well.
I was following the mock drafts early on and well into the process here, and Porter Martone was a kid that was usually associated with that number 4 pick, and it seems like things have changed recently. What do you know about him and what he brings, and is there a reason why he might be dropping in the draft, or is this just part of the process of how the evaluations fluctuate during this process?
I think it's part of the process because I know what you're saying, JJ. I saw him up near 4 or 5 a lot, and then it seems like he's dropping closer to, right before 10 or something like that. I think part of it is the position. He plays the wing, and up near the top of the draft, centers and defensemen typically go ahead of wings because the center's a more typically seen as a more valuable position. And also, I think people watch these Stanley Cup finals, and they saw how important it is to get someone who can handle themselves physically in the postseason. That's something we've known for a long time. But watching the Florida Panthers go back-to-back, it reinforced that notion. And, look, Martone's a big kid. He can certainly handle himself. But there are other guys in this draft that their stock rose a little bit more because of the emphasis on the physical play in these last Stanley Cup playoffs. So I don't think it's as much of a case as of Martone dropping as it is other guys kind of climbing ahead of him.
We've heard other experts kind of breaking down the draft and talking a little bit about and we do this a lot with other sports, and it's hard to really grade a draft until maybe a few years down the line. However, I think because there isn't a generational name like your Connor Bedard's or your Macklin Celebrini's like we've had the last couple of years, what is the talent level of this draft look like compared to other years? And is there a version of like, oh yeah, it's not a lot of phenomenal talent coming out of this one, or is it overall a strong draft and maybe the other ones have been top heavy these other years?
Yeah, there's not that number one consensus who's been the number one for the last several years, right? Like a Celebrini or a Bedard. You're absolutely right in that. Although I do think Matthew Schaefer, who we believe is going to go number one to the Islanders, he was injured this past year, so that kind of takes some of the shine off of, the hype around that number one overall spot, just because he wasn't on the ice for a lot of this last year. But it does appear to be a fairly deep draft up near the top. I tell you what, it's really fortunate for Utah to have moved up in the draft like they did. Utah was originally going to be 14th, but they won the draft lottery to get up to 4. From what a lot of the pundits are saying, they think that that first tier of players is somewhere around 8 to 12. That's kind of where the drop-off is, and the draft opens up a little bit more. So for Utah to get well within that range gives them a lot of flexibility to take whoever they want or have a broader range of players available to them at 4, or, again, to move that pick and potentially bring in an asset who can help the team right now.
One more name I wanted to toss your way was Brady Martin, a guy that shot up the draft boards recently after the Combine. What are your thoughts on him, and is he in play at number 4?
That might be a little rich for Brady Martin just because he doesn't have the offensive upside of some of these other prospects who are there. But I tell you what, you watch Brady Martin's highlight reel, and this kid is like a monster truck, just crushing people. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys have read up much on him, but he's a farm kid from Ontario.
Had no idea.
And
didn't know.
They love it. They love it. I feel like every guy in the draft in the NHL is a farm kid, though. There's like a feeling of that. Like the toughness is there with everybody. Sometimes it seems like.
Yeah, but like when you're hearing reports that he was milking the cows like earlier today and could potentially be a first-round pick or likely will be a first-round pick later tonight, those are the kind of stories that get people's imaginations turning.
We just think every player in the draft is a character on Letterkenny.
That's what it's like. We go full steam ahead on the stereotypes.
Isn't everybody a candidate like that
of these NHL players that are coming in? It's like they
we
all
have
work on a farm.
A lot of Canadians up near the top. There is James Higgins is a Long Island kid. He's up there, a Boston College product. But yeah, a lot of Canadians near the top of the draft, so that fits in.
Lots of Darryls and Squirrely Dans.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the idea of moving off of that 4th pick. It's a good spot for Utah to be in because. They're holding the cards, right? They can determine what they want to do. If they want to make a home run pick in a guy that they love at 4, great. If not, they can start shopping around that 4th pick, which is what we've heard a lot of people want to do, is maybe shop that number 4 pick around. And is the idea that, hey, look, you can trade that 4th pick away and get a body that's going to be skating with you guys on the ice come this fall.
Absolutely, and I think from what it sounds like is that pick has been in play, and Bill told us on our show, the Nashcast, that I do with Tyson Nash. He's told us last week that they're in every trade conversation, and that's kind of what we're hearing from some of these NHL reporters, whether it's Elliot Friedman or Frank Saravalli. They're reporting that Utah is sniffing around on a lot of these deals, and I would expect more moves to be made. We've typically seen Bill Armstrong as a GM. He's made his acquisitions via trade as opposed to in free agency. Now it's a little different here in Utah just because there's a more of an ability to spend in free agency than maybe what there was in Arizona. But nonetheless, Bill's MO has been to build via trade and build via the draft. Really interesting. Last year, guys, 2 days of the NFL or NHL draft, 29 trades occurred only 3 teams did not participate in a trade during the draft. Utah participated in 3 trades during the draft. So expect the Mountain Blue to be active.
All right. Well, it's another night. I'm sure you're going to be watching very closely, and you guys are going to be monitoring this one and having a good time with the new names that are going to get added to the fold, or if there's big draft movement and trades that go on as well. Mike Folta, radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, joining us here on the program. Mike, have a great draft night, man. We're looking we're looking forward to chatting with you here as we get going with the summer here, man.
You know, it's funny, guys. All the bigwigs are walking by me right now, and they're matching suits and dress shirts. Alex, you want me to put in a good word for you?
No, well, I feel like I'm too far gone. But like, if you wanna go out there and just
well, Alex's agent wouldn't let him work out for anybody. So
I'm not going to show up for whatever press conference that you're going to put on anyway. Okay, that's my.
They
deal.
probably don't have any idea he's any good.
There's 224 picks in this year's draft, Alex. So you've got a jersey with 224 on it.
I might look. maybe Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah, maybe that might be for me. All right, Mike, we appreciate it, man. We'll chat with you as the summer goes along here. Thanks a lot. There you go, Mike Folta, everybody. Man, exciting night for the Utah
You know what the most exciting thing about the night is? The unpredictability, because Utah has so many options.
Yeah,
they can trade the pick, they can keep the pick. There's a bunch of guys they can take that are in that range.
Yep.
And we have no idea who they're interested in. We know who they're interested in generally, broadly, but not specifically.
Yeah,
they've given us no hint as to who they like the most.
What you do know is that in our conversations we've had with Bill Armstrong in the past, or with Coach, when they start to have these conversations about like they don't just do their homework. I mean, you've heard Bill Armstrong came on our show and goes, I remember like what guys looked like when they were skating 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like that stuff sticks with GMs in the league if you're going to be effective going forward. So. All right, we'll take the break here. We've got more to break down. Starting up next hour, we're going to have tons to chat with as well. Travis Yost is going to join us in the 4 o'clock hour right at the top here. He's an NHL writer for TSN, and we'll get his thoughts on all the things that could be coming their way. And then Jay Stevens, host of the Utah Puck Report, is going to join us. Trevor Lewis, centerman for the Los Angeles Kings, and, of course, Utah natives. He's going to join us as well coming up in just a little while. We've got tons for you going on the rest of the evening. Stay with us. More to go. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. We have ourselves coming up at the top of the hour. Travis Yost from TSN is going to join us. Love having Travis on the program. The energy he brings, covers the NHL for TSN, and so obviously getting to know a little bit what's going to go on with this draft process tonight. On top of all the experts we're going to bring in over the next few hours, it's just going to be a little bit of a waiting game. And I love the idea. Mike Folta just said, hey, the top brass just walked by where he was at, in the facility, and trying to figure out what they're going to be doing and who they're going to be picking. And it's an exciting time. But you heard him too. It was interesting he said that. He goes, look, they don't feel like they're championship contenders, but the next step is get yourself to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe is there a version of the NHL having an Oklahoma City Thunder situation? This might be it, right? Like, in terms of young guys coming in.
Some might want to argue that the Panthers have been that.
Yeah.
Because what have they done forever? But that's if you take a deeper dive, that's not really the case. But yeah. Well, if you can build this and add the right pieces. And so the Panthers, they drafted really well, but they also brought in guys on trades. Matthew Tkachuk.
They did with
Sam Reinhart.
Brad Marchand during the middle of the year.
A lot of the guys they brought in were via trade, and it's all worked out. So you use all the resources available, put it together. It can happen quickly. But usually it takes time.
So my buddy Matt, who's a hockey head, is like he's kind of the guy leaning on, like, are we getting this right? He shot me a screenshot of that Austin is one of these cities that now is talking about, hey, we want an NHL franchise too. We see it's kind of going pretty well. Would you rather have an NHL franchise or an NBA franchise? Because it's going to cost you. Right now, the franchise expansion fee for the NHL according to Frank Saravalli of ESPN, is $2 billion of a buy-in. Now, the $2 billion, that sounds like a lot. I don't know what the buy-in for an NBA team is yet.
We'll find out soon.
Right.
And
Seattle
it's going to be more.
Seattle and Vegas are going to have to figure out what that's going to look like. And it's going to be if the NHL is $2 billion just to get in on the prospect of having a team in your city, that means the team is worth that as soon as they walk into town. That means that Ryan and Ashley Smith got a freaking steal. That means that the NBA, as soon as the NBA walks into Vegas or into Seattle, it's probably likely going to be already worth $4 to $5 billion as soon as they start up.
SEG paid $1.2 billion for the Coyotes franchise and moved it here. $200 million of that was the relocation fee. It's taking $2 billion just to get the franchise.
Yeah. Nothing more Utah than getting your NHL team on a coupon. On a coupon.
SEG made an incredible financial move there.
Hey, I've got a coupon for. I know. So
hey, Commish, can I get a discount?
I've got
a promo code there. The Zone. Can I use that? Can I get 10% off?
50% off of your franchise fees today. All right. Speaking of giving stuff away because we love free things here in the state of Utah.
Yes, we do.
Oh, my goodness. I've got some stuff to give away right now. Pair of tickets to the X Games on Saturday. That includes a concert featuring Sublime at the same time. That's a freaking 1998 called X Games and Sublime all in one stop. You can win those tickets right now. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. Caller number 12 gets a pair of tickets for this Saturday, tomorrow, to see the X Games and a concert featuring Sublime all in one stop. So there you go. 801-575-ZONE. Give us a call right now. We'll take a break. Travis Yost is going to join us next right here, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.